Hey everybody, Spaz here. This is not a power pop video. This is a road trip video. I'm sorry for all the mess back here. I've been purging CDs. I've been pulling CDs from the garage. I've got boxes of CDs over here. I've got stacks of CDs over here. Got to figure out what I still want, what I want to get rid of, all that fun stuff. But I just got back from a road trip where I did a very nutty thing. I bought more CDs. So I'm going to share those with you right now. I'm going to talk about the non-CD things I got. Just a few things. I got this 4-volume set, Educational Archives Lunch Pail. What this is it contains four DVDs that they all look like this, and there's like a little peachy type folder underneath them, and a thermos too. And what it is, it's the educational films that used to be shown in schools between the 40s and the 80s. So that's a really cool little thing. I got that for $10. And then everyone knows I'm into comics, so I got this for just a couple dollars. The Death of Archie. Yes, Archie dies, or he died, but like a comic, good comics, they never stay dead. But this compiles the issues of comic. This is a trade paperback that compiles the issues of when Archie died and people were dealing with it. Also, remember the old magazines Creepy and Eerie back in the 70s? Might have started in the 60s even, but the 70s for sure, because that's what I used to see them and buy them. Well, Dark Horse started up a comic series called Creepy, and these are 3 books that combine issues, like the first, I don't know, probably 20 issues are in these 3 books here. And but that's all the comic stuff. Music-wise, this was not bought on the road trip. This was bought when I got home from the road trip, but I had to get it. It's the new Steve Perry. It's the Target version with 5 bonus tracks. I saw it a bunch of times while I was on the road trip, but I held back because I knew that there was a Target version. So I got that, and that is fun. Great price on this. Unfortunately, the cover was torn. The Annette box set, 2 CDs. And I have a bunch of Annette Funicello on CDs, but there's still a couple tracks on here that I don't have, but it was a good price. I usually see it for double or triple the price that I paid for it. Going through a box of, the first box here, I got 2 Stephen Bishop CDs, The Best of Bish. And that I haven't seen that on CD in years, so I picked it up. 101 Strings. Yeah. I picked this up because it was cheap and it has, I have all the ABC remasters, but I don't have this. And this has 2 songs that aren't on any of the other albums. So that's very much worth it. The Baja Maramba Band. That was a great price. I haven't seen that in a while. I picked up the Lindsey Buckingham, the 3 CD version. Because there's a single disc version and there's 3 CD. The 3rd CD is kind of be useless for me because I'm not a big live fan, but I'll still listen to it. But that's a good compilation. This should not be banned from Facebook or YouTube. But I got the second box set by the UK punk band Cocksparrer. This has their 4 later albums. Another box I have has 4 or 5 additional albums. Krista Berg, Crusader. I didn't have that one. I have a lot of his later stuff. I just don't have any of the early stuff. This is the Vince Guaraldi, his Warner Brothers recordings. It's 2 CDs, has 3 albums and unreleased tracks, and that's really good. He's the guy who did the music for all the Peanuts specials, the Charlie Brown specials. Here's a Lee Hazelwood twofer that I picked up. See this right here? This is just a fantastic album from the early 80s. This is the domestic version of the Ice House album. When Ice House came out, they were called Flowers. They're an Australian band. They were called Flowers. They changed their name to Ice House, and the album got released in the U.S. under the name Ice House, but what they did is they totally remixed it. The Australian version has more guitar, and the keyboards are sort of down in the mix, whereas it was the opposite on the American ones. The keyboard's more up in the mix. Guitar's still there. Some of the songs were a little edited, but definitely remixed completely. It's a great album. I already have 2 of these, but I see it so rarely in the wild that I had to grab another one because I know that some of my Facebook friends were probably interested in it. Here's Joe Jackson Jump and Jive, his big band swing album. That was pretty cheap. This is the second and final King album. That's with bonus tracks on Cherry Red. Here is a Andy Williams ex-wife, or the late Andy Williams ex-wife, Claudine Longet, a best of. Got that for a good price. Here is the debut album for the Mamas and the Papas. It's there. Here is the Mike Curb Congregation. Never seen this before. Compilation. The Mike Curb Congregation. And that's a good one. This one I lost because I know that I had it before, but I had to get it again. It's the Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. It's the deluxe 2 CD DVD, or like 5.1 DVD audio. This is one I don't see too often. Vista Mix, Bill Nelson. This is a compilation of some of his UK recordings. He doesn't have that many US albums, and this is his like sort of new wave synth period and stuff. But I really like this collection, even though I think I have all the tracks on other things. Rick Nelson, Garden Party. That was a good one. Now time for the second box. Oasis, the only album I like by them. What's the Story, Morning Glory? This is the 3 CD deluxe version. Had to get that. Could not. I've actually been looking for that for about a year, and the local shops here in Sacramento don't seem to have it. Here is Orson. I love this album to death. It is fabulous. It is wonderful. It's one of the great modern or overlooked modern pop albums, and I already have it. But I bought it because I know that I'm sure that there's a Facebook friend out there that will really enjoy it. Pig Bag. This is an album with bonus tracks. They're kind of like a post-punk jazz, very quirky horns and funky bass and stuff. But it's really off center, and I love it. Or I love them. I actually think I have most of those tracks on CD, but sometimes hearing something within the context of the original album is a lot better for me rather than hearing the songs spread out over different compilations. First Robert Plant solo album, the remastered version with bonus tracks. Got that. And I picked up I really like Linda Ronstadt's output, but the stuff that I prefer is like from her first solo album up to Mad Love. The only two that I was missing was Hasten Down the Wind and Mad Love, and now I have them both in my possession. I love the song Guantanamera by the Sandpipers, and I finally found the twofer on CD. I had the other Sandpipers twofer that came out on the same label, but I didn't have this. So I was happy with that. Sandy Shaw, she was a 60s British pop star, came back in the late 80s, and there's a song co-written by Morrissey. There's a couple Smith songs on here, so it's really sort of alternative. Came out of the Rough Trade label. This is the remaster with bonus tracks. Happy to see that. And then here's some... here's some Nancy Sinatra. Don't have them all, but I was able to find these. Happy to have them. I hope I can find more for relatively cheap. This one I picked up for $1.95. I hadn't seen it, or I hadn't seen it in a while, but I thought that I would get it. Cover has some water damage on it. CD looks in pretty good shape, but I needed to get it. Starland Vocal Band. Look at how many songs. How many songs do you know by Starland Vocal Band? Yeah, it has that song and 19 others. So that's fantastic. I got Strawberry Alarm Clock. Need to change the jewel case on that. Incense and Peppermints. This is, I think, the only later Supertramp album I was missing. I think I've got them all the hit albums and the later albums. And many years ago, everyone's totally into Matthew Sweet now. I got into this album when it first came out, but I'm not pretending like I'm cool and stuff like that because I love the song Easy on this. I kind of don't remember too much else about it. But the song Easy hooked me right away. I even had a one-track CD single of it. Might even still have it. But I got it because I worked in the music business. I worked at a distributor, and I got a promo of it. So it's not like I sought out this and I'm super cool, but I introduced people to Matthew Sweet through this, and although now I don't really listen to him as often as I should, I stick to that. And also, I haven't seen this in a while. Well, actually, I occasionally see it, but not too often. I never see it for $1.95. So I got that. That's another Matthew Sweet album if I was doing that too quick. Oh, and here's a mod band featuring Ed Ball. Found these 3 albums. These are all out of print. And these are the reissues with bonus tracks. And it's a band called The Times. And if you like television personalities, and they're more like television personalities than they are the mod bands, like the Lambrettas and Secret Affair and stuff like that. Here is another 2 CD set featuring 4 Andy Williams albums. Yes, I have these 4 on other CDs, but sometimes the UK versions of albums have different mixes or different recordings of the songs, or the songs are different on each album, and it's Andy Williams, so I have to do that. And then finally in this box, I still have something else to show you. Finally in this box, the Dennis Wilson, the 2 CD version of Pacific Ocean Blue. I picked up the one Sire Ramones album that I didn't have. I had them all except that one. I've always sort of avoided their stuff on Radioactive Records because I didn't think it was, the albums as a whole were great. But that was like 20 years ago. So I decided, well, since I've got everything else, I might as well pick up. So I picked up, by the way, almost everything here was used, unless you see it was still wrapped, like the Vince Guaraldi and the Lindsey Buckingham and the Andy Williams. But Mondo Bizarro I picked up. This is the Captain Oi version that has a bonus track, Spider-Man. Adios Amigos, that has a bonus track, Ramones, the Motorhead song they covered. And then I just got the regular version of Acid Eaters. So now I have all the Ramones studio albums. This has 3 CDs and a vinyl LP. Vinyl LP will never be played in my household. I do not have a turntable. But the 3 CDs were way worth it. So leave home. But wait, that's not all. My final purchase is my favorite Ramones album ever. Road to Ruin. This is the same thing. It has 3 CDs and a vinyl LP. And that was my score. These were my treasures. These are my spoils. That's it. Thank you, everybody. And I will catch you on the next, but is it Power Pop or when I talk about comics? Thank you for watching.